In the heart of the urban jungle, a unique species of Homo sapiens thrives. Identified by their common adornments, the humble hoodie, their peculiar yet endearing rituals involving ping-pong tables, and an astonishing amount of free coffee. The startup Homo sapiens.
I'm no David Attenborough, but I know a thing or two about startups. For example, did you know they don't run on coffee alone?
I'm here to guide you on an extraordinary journey. Our new Twitch series, AWS Let's Build a Startup. Together we shall observe how an idea evolves, grows and matures into a real minimum viable product. All of this within the AWS ecosystem. Whether it's the thirst of knowledge guiding you or simply your passion for free caffeine. Join me on this fascinating journey.
Hey, hello everyone. Welcome back to AWS Let's Build a Startup. This is your weekly 1-hour dive into the journeys of startups that are building on AWS. As per usual, I'm your host, Giuseppe Battista. I'm a senior solutions architect working closely with pre-Series A startups here in London. So folks, where are you coming from? Do you have a startup idea? Do you want to build with us? Please let us know in the chat box. But today I am super thrilled of having with me Victor, my colleague. Victor leads our solutions architecture team for SaaS startups. And Vic, how's it going? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Giuseppe. No, I'm really good. I'm super excited to be here. It's the first time I'm doing a live streaming, so I'm really excited to be in this format and also meet some of our our people in the chat that wants to see how do you build a startup and how do you do it with maybe Marketplace and how can we help. But yeah, no, it's I'm looking forward to the next hour.
Sounds great. Thank you for spending it with me, and hello from my friends from Texas, US. How's it going, folks? Or how would you? How I think you say that in Texas, but like, please do correct me if I'm wrong. Now, just before we start, Vic, you have helped countless startups in like launching their offering on the AWS Marketplace, but also more in general, like design a go-to-market strategy for them and like helping them maybe get into product market fit a little bit quicker than anybody else. So you have a wealth of expertise, and this is why I wanted to have you here today, right? So in just 30 seconds, so like, what do you think is the biggest challenge a SaaS startup is actually facing today?
Right. I think, I mean, I look at it as two different big challenges, right? Like one is the technical part. How do I build my startup on technology that's scalable, that's reliable, that is secure, and that does the right things? That's a big challenge on its own. And I think I do meet some startups that almost have solved that part. They're really technical, really good at it. But when I meet startups and different AWS customers, the topic that always comes up is like, how do I get customers? How do I, especially on enterprise, if you're building a SaaS startup, how do I get enterprise customers? How do I avoid getting locked in these really long procurement processes where you need to prove to the enterprise that you are stable, reliable SaaS product that they can use, right? So the whole go-to-market piece is I think I'm getting more questions on that than the technical part these days.
No, but I understand that because I used to work for like large enterprise customers as well, and like we had like full department full of people that their day-to-day job was like trying and finding better prices or like different vendors, and their whole job is actually to make it more viable for their own business to actually buy and procure software from somewhere else, so like devise like maybe even migration strategies, but there's a lot of bureaucratic steps that new vendors that are approaching the market have to go through, and I guess that one of the reasons why we're talking about this, folks, is that the AWS Marketplace make it extremely easier to get that foot in the door. But and again, Victor, thank you so much, because this is the type of insight that I was really looking forward to have on this show today. And it's not just going to be me and you talking about this. In just a few minutes, we'll have our friends from Corent Tech on, who have helped countless startups in getting onto the marketplace really fast. And we're talking about from months to actually days. And I know some of my customers customers as well, like X-Ray or Climate X, have worked with them, and they're really, really happy about the results that they got. And on the other hand, I'm super proud to have a customer who's actually about to embark on a journey. We have a customer called NSight Live. They're working with in partnership with Corent, and they have built a customer relationship management software that is tailored to auto dealership in the US. So although their journey started, I think, more than 12 years ago, like they're now approaching, getting into this new marketplace, but also they're embarking on an interesting challenge. And we'll have the CEO today to like draw for us the picture of his new and bold vision. But before we start, actually, I have just a couple of announcements. So first of all, we've been renewed for the rest of the year. So we have more episodes coming up. So you will not get rid of me until December, I guess, or maybe I'll try to sneak out from just some holidays. But that's great, and thank you so much for your continued support here, folks. You're making each and every episode better, thanks to your feedback and helping us and tailoring this messaging to startups. But we recently also had a very awesome episode with Lovable and Jeff Barr himself. So if you missed it, we're sharing the link in a link to the YouTube recording right now. Here in the chat box on Twitch, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Speaking of awesome episode, next week we'll have Julien Simon joining us. He's going to chat about small language models and how to build them, how to make use of them, and why they're the future of agentic AI. So please stay tuned for that. And finally, if you want to chat with me, Kevin, or Carolina, we are sharing a link in the chat box right now where you can book a slot, like a 30-minute slot with us to just chat with us, tell us about your startup. But if you have any questions for our coming guests today, please storm into the various chat boxes and we'll try to pick them up. But let's jump right in. Let me introduce you folks to Jim from NSight Live, Will and Faisy from Corent. Folks, thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom about getting onto the marketplace. How's it going, Will and Faisy? How's it going, Jim? Thank you for spending some time with us.
Yeah, it's doing great. It's bright and early here in Laguna Beach, California. It's still dark.
I am kind of jealous too, because I mean it's 2 p.m. here in the UK, but it's still dark and rainy. So yeah, kind of jealous. Maybe next time I can come and stream from your place. Hey Jim and hey Will, how's it going?
Hey Giuseppe, hey Victor, good to see you guys again.
Great to see you. Jim, thanks for spending some time with us today. And as I was saying, folks, Jim is the CEO and founder of NSight Live, and NSight is a CRM or a customer relationship management software, and that's a software that you employ. Just to give you a little bit of context, if you're not familiar with it, but that's a software that you employ to manage the entire life cycle of your customer relationships, right? So from lead generation all the way through the onboarding and maybe even customer support. I know, Jim, that you do also a lot of marketing around it. So like your CRM is specialized in two things. So like one is the vertical that you're operating, so auto dealership, but then you do a lot of marketing as well, right? Can you give us just a quick overview of what your CRM has come to be?
Sure. 12 years ago, I got into the marketing side of the business, and part of what you need when you're pushing marketing offers through multiple channels is a central location for the customer journey. As that customer lands into a CRM of any type, whether it's a full faceted CRM or limited, managing the customer journey, and for me, what's the next best action, and that action needs to take place when it best serves the customer. So over the last 12 years, as technologies begin to develop, I became more curious as things moved into words like automation. Then automation turned into chatbots, and then chatbots turned into AI. And because I don't have a legacy architecture, my CRM was fairly nimble. I have the ability to really develop a fully functional AI, agentic AI, and voice and text, as well as in a dialer within our CRM utilizing AWS Bedrock.
That's fantastic, and I think this is a nice teaser for the next segment of the show. I also wanted to introduce you folks to Faisy and Will. We have worked on countless startups and getting them onto the marketplace, and I couldn't be happier to have you here, folks, finally on the show. Will, Faisy, how's it going? Thank you so much for being here. And can you tell us a bit more about what Corent is and what you guys do, and how you're actually managing to get customers on the marketplace from months to actually days?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Super excited to be here, and one of the first live broadcasts. So how's that? To get up early in the morning while it's still dark. Yeah, many years ago, we came with the idea that it takes too long, it requires too much effort to transform a software into SaaS. Or when you're building a startup, 80% of the effort goes into building tenancy management, operations management, commercial management, monitoring, metering, monetizing, publication on the marketplace. All those aspects are context to the core of your software. If your software, like Jim's, is a CRM, you should focus on your CRM or your marketing. That's the core value you offer to your customers versus all these adjacent areas. We say core versus context. We decided to deliver the context for the B2B SaaS so that the software providers can focus on delivering their core software and plug it into SaaS ops. That's the name of our product, SaaS operating system, SaaS ops. And immediately, and configure it. You can configure it for a day, 2 days, depending on how sophisticated you want your SaaS to be. And instantly it connects with the best proven multi-tenancy, operations management, commercial management, and everything else that goes along with it, including being published on AWS Marketplace. How cool is that? To take off 2 years of your development and delivery schedule and possibly millions of dollars. So one other way to look at it is we relieve you of 80% of your fundraising duties to focus and get your product to market versus raising a lot of money just to develop the piece that is truly reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and also aligned with AWS philosophy, right? We're all about like removing that undifferentiated heavy lifting, and it feels like you are taking that pain away from a lot of founders. So, like for example, I know we worked on Climate X, for example. We worked on X-Ray together. Maybe Victor, you know something or something else, or like some other customers that have had a great success story with Corent.
Yeah, right. The first customer I worked with Corent Tech was with Climate X that you mentioned, right? And I think what's really cool there, because customers tend to talk about marketplace. They want to get onto the marketplace. They maybe don't know too much about it, but they kind of know that they want to get there. But then once you start to like work with the customers, understand them, and then you understand it's a much bigger thing we're talking here. It's actually many times how do you manage a whole SaaS platform? And I think that's really where Corent Tech came in, because they take a look of the whole platform. How do you spin it up to different customers? How do you manage that? How do you get that kind of single pane of glass to like create new tenants or create different pricing models and so on, right? I think that the marketplace is, it's not just a thing you do once and you're ready. It's like, it's how does it tie into your whole both technical and commercial roadmap? And I think that's where Corent Tech is really cool to me. Like, and we saw that with Climate X.
I love the way you described it, Victor. The analogy I use for just putting your software on the marketplace is putting an old black and white movie on Netflix. So it's a still black and white old movie. Why not colorize it, digitize it, and turn it into a modern movie that people want to watch? and then put it in the marketplace, which is Netflix. So the analogy is, if you just take your software without having all the great elements that you mentioned about automating the SaaS, auto provisioning, auto onboarding, tenancy management, operations management, commercial management, metering, different pricing tiers, etc., etc. If you don't have all those elements, and we put a software that is really truly not fully functional, it's not elastic, it's not cost effective on the marketplace, you may be fooling yourself and then wondering how come this is not selling, because you put a movie that is not as attractive on Netflix. That's why it's not getting a lot of audience.
Yeah, no, I think metering and pricing is one of my favorite topics because it's so powerful, and I think there's a lot of startups or businesses in general that just haven't gone deep enough into pricing. And to do like proper pricing, you need to have really good metering. You need to have tenant-aware metering, right?
Yeah.
Because in an ideal world, you know what resources each of your tenant is utilizing. You know what they're paying, and you can start to calculate what is my operating margin on this tenant. Is it even worth having a free tier or not? Is it worth spending, building specific features for this customer, and which customers are we actually making money off, and who are we, who are we actually giving our coins away to, right? And I think that there's a bridge here between like the financial management, or the FinOps and that part, and the technical side, and we need to bridge that to do really good metering and really good pricing. And we still see very simple pricing, I think, where it's like maybe it's custom. Well, that's the hard one, right? Like what is very fully custom pricing, but with a lack of awareness if this is a good pricing for us as a SaaS provider, if it's, did we charge too little, too much, and so on. It's one of my favorite topics. It's really interesting, and I think it's underutilized.
Your customers have started demanding usage-based pricing. It's a lot of SaaS providers I hear ask for a base price, let's say $1,000 a month base price, and the remaining is usage-based pricing. But in order to implement usage-based pricing, you got to have sophisticated metering, not simply CPU usage or storage usage, but specific features in your product, in your application, such as AI features, that some of them could be really expensive. And if people are frequently using these AI features and incurring cost for the SaaS provider, why not meter it? And then at the end of the month, provide an additional bill for what was used, instead of averaging it across everyone, whether they use it or not. And Corent, I'm proud to say we have 43 granted US invention patents just on metering, let alone the rest. We have over 145 invention patents in order to make this magic of from months or years to days happen.
Yeah, wow, that's beautiful. So I have a question comes from Firebox HD. Hey, thank you so much for joining us on Twitch. He's saying like we've moved our SaaS from on-site client servers to AWS, but we haven't got to the AWS Marketplace stage yet, and will. I think this question really ties into a question that I wanted to ask you. So why would a startup want to first of all like be on the marketplace, on the AWS Marketplace at all? Why would they have to take the time to go through all of the I would say the operations that even if these operations are not that complex, but anything that is removing time from founders in actually building or like finding their product market fit, especially at the early stage, may be seen as a waste of time. So maybe you can give us your expert opinion about that. And Firebox, thank you so much for your question. Please keep on coming.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks for the question, Giuseppe, and to Firebox HD. It's one that we hear pretty frequently as folks, especially with earlier stage. I know a lot of folks listening are, maybe sort of fit that sort of pre-Series A type criteria in terms of early stage startups. And a lot of the reason that you would want to look to be on Marketplace is, number one, if your customers are let's say, enterprise type accounts, there's massive incentives related to being able to acquire those customers. You're accelerating your sales cycles. The speed of procurement is something that a lot of our customers see as a huge value, especially if you're earlier stage and can't handle putting a lot of additional bandwidth toward procurement cycles just to win those first really marquee customers. And then maybe even more importantly, those customers have the ability to procure your solution by drawing down on their EDP credits. And so it's really a tremendous win-win opportunity that AWS has introduced. So those are some of the big reasons, Giuseppe. And then, of course, from a more longer-term perspective, being able to sort of tap into the co-sell AWS ecosystem with not just AWS, but other partners as well. There's just a fabulous ecosystem that is emerging around being able to take a more channel or kind of partner-driven approach to co-selling. And we've seen a lot of startups gain tremendous momentum and traction without having to take on the burden of building out an entire go-to-market and sales organization internally. So there's and we're partnered with several other partners like Labra and Tackle and a lot of these types of folks that help to provide some of that go-to-market consulting as well. So there's just a really fabulous ecosystem coming together to help startups go to market and scale in ways that just didn't exist before AWS Marketplace.
Hmm.
One question from my end. Sorry, Giuseppe. I'm just curious to hear your point of view, because you're working with a lot of customers that are going to the marketplace with different motivations and so on. What would you say is because it's not a one fits all, right? It's not you're on the marketplace and you get success right away. What is differentiating those startups or organizations that have big success on the marketplace and those who maybe are not succeeding yet? Like, why is that? Or what do you think is the thing that makes the difference?
I think maybe it comes down to expectations is probably the biggest initial answer I would have to that question, Victor. So for the startups that have success, their expectation is that once they're on the marketplace, that's just the beginning, and there's going to need to be some continued nurturing and some continued investment to get this channel and actually start the momentum in terms of revenue and customer acquisition, et cetera. The customers that don't have that same expectation, they think that, okay, once I'm on the marketplace, then just instantly I'll start to see, an additional revenue stream. Those are the customers where we see there's an adjustment period, because the fact is getting to marketplace is just the beginning. And the customers that see the real opportunity take a longer term view, and they continue to nurture and invest in that channel until their momentum takes hold.
Right. I think there's more than 22,000 products on the marketplace and more than 5,000 customers on the marketplace. So you need to stand out, right? Like if you're 5,001, that alone isn't enough.
Exactly. And the customers that we see have tremendous success, it really just comes to, they're just taking a longer term view. They can see the way that B2B buyer behavior is evolving, and over the next 5 and 10 years, not just with procurement, but also with software discovery. So being able to have their solution actually discovered and procured, and the whole shift that's taking place in the buying behavior within B2B software, they take that longer term view and they're investing for the long term in that channel.
Well, that's great insight. Thank you so much for that. And I hope that Firebox, we have answered your question, or like not answer your question, but just like invited you to think about that a bit more. But the other thing that you, Fauzi, that you have touched upon, it's actually the importance of actually having good metering, and I think that this is becoming even more important when you're thinking about, as you were saying, infusing your applications with AI superpowers, especially because we live in a tokenized economy, right? So maybe Victor, maybe we'll emphasize your take on that before we actually go and see an example of how we are infusing AI superpowers into Insight Live.
I think if I can start, I think the whole Gen AI, Gen AI spice that we're adding to all our products right now, it is putting a lot on the traditional SaaS pricing model, because we tend to sell software that was essentially quite cheap. It was expensive to develop, but to run it was quite cheap, right? It didn't matter that much how much or how little our customers were using it. Maybe had user-based pricing. People were paying $10 per $10 per month, and that was, maybe your cloud bill was maybe 10% of that, right? But with Gen AI, it's possible to have these really power users that are, really utilizing your Gen AI features, eating up all your tokens, and you can get into the red, right? It's metering that and managing that, maybe tiering that up. It's something you really need to think about. There's been some really interesting things happening recently. I know there was a discussion with Cursor quite recently. They changed their model because they have a set of power users that are maybe a little bit too much of a power users, right? And yeah, I think like Gen AI is kind of turning our pricing models a little bit upside down. We need to rethink it.
And with agentic, it's only gonna get worse, right?
Right.
If you don't have proper metering in place, then how are you even, because I think what you're buying is kind of an outcome. It's based on outcome, but the cost model is based on I guess the intellectual power that you're crunching into a model, and that is measured in tokens, is measured in words.
Right. Yeah, one of the benefits of having a sophisticated metering is startups can recoup their R&D expenses. Let's say they put $1 million into new feature, and when they release it, they can make that particular feature optional to use for the next, let's say, 6 months. You don't have to use it, but if you want to use it, it's $1 each time you use it, or 10 cents per minute or per hour. So people don't have to use it, but if they choose to use it, the startup can recoup the expenses and the budget they input. So, but if you cannot meter at the application layer, and all the metering is how much storage you're using, how much CPU you're using, they cannot meter the usage of a specific application features. And so what Corent offers, not only the sophisticated metering at the application layer, and of course at the infrastructure layer, but there is a new feature we are about to introduce that's called SaaS Ops AIify. And that also, as part of a few days of work that we take to SaaSify a software connected with all the capabilities of a SaaS solution. At the same time, we AIify using Bedrock. So the application immediately is not only SaaS, not only has metering, but also has all the basic AI capabilities, whether Gen AI, LLM, agentic AI, available to the application. And of course, the application provider can choose which one to use, which one to delay. But all that work is already done as part of SaaSification of the application right away.
And I guess that we
Thank you.
have. Oh, sorry, Vic. I was just saying this is where I would like to call in Jim. And Jim, thank you for being so patient with us, where we will just discussing this technical details. But I know Insight Live is one of the first customers going through this type of transformation. I would really love to hear what your bold vision is in terms of how you're transforming the way that you're doing things at an Insight Live. Can you also give us maybe just a quick intro of what is the problem you're solving for your customers, and a little bit of a story of your development lifecycle and how it's changing now, introducing AI into it?
The first thing in describing who I am, in my opinion, you always want to be a student of your business. You're constantly learning. And through the process of learning, you also identify the friction in the marketplace. And integrated solutions built on legacy architecture, to where you now have to cobble together 6 or 7 different bundled applications, multiple different views, makes it very difficult. It's not user-friendly, and typically it breaks because they just can't use it properly. So our long-term vision is a fully integrated CRM that has both inbound, outbound text and voice with dialer capability, programmatic features within the CRM to where as you train it, so we have a foundation model that we built on Novasonic, then we've overlaid that with some guardrails, and then you go into the CRM and you outline what the function of that particular prompt is. Prompts are very specific, so we don't allow it to, we focus heavily on hallucination and latency response time to make sure, again, that's where friction is right now in AI Marketplace. When you talked about usage, now a lot of the usage cost is on the front end. Before it used to be on the back end in terms of how you're managing data and APIs and monitoring. Now it's all on the front end because now you're going to replace a lot of human hours with AI hours, and those are measured in both voice and text. And metering that is very important. From my perspective, two things. One, profitability, but two, making sure that you're pricing correctly in the marketplace. And we want to be an a la carte representation with our model where you come in at a low price point, we show you what we can do, then you can add on. And we want to be careful not to be punitive as usage fees goes up over the course of time, where you have to buy a block of time. And then once you expire that time, then it can be a 2.5 penalty for exceeding voice or exceeding text. So being friendly there to help small businesses grow, to be there for them.
That's great, and I think I think that this is I think a massive shift, and I'm really interested in how you're wrapping your vision around it. So like how is this I would say how is this like declinated into actual like practical step that you're taking to like create this vision, or like to make this vision real?
The practical steps in terms of the development or a use case?
I think I'm actually interested in both, but you picked up on the use case, so like I would maybe dive deep on that.
Yeah. So, for example, a client's ability to be able to reach 1,000 or 1,500 customers in a short period of time with a very specific message, and doing it at a low cost, a low price point. Call centers, the ability to reach that many people in a short period of time is a heavy lift on the human capital. So what if I describe to you that we have an agentic AI application that allows us to load this file into a dialer. The dialer has an outbound capability. The agentic AI reaches the customer. Once it reaches them, it does a brief explanation and can do a warm transfer to a human agent, or it can complete the loop of what the transaction is. And all of this can be done in high volume. So we allow you to set the settings. Maybe you want to reach 100 a day. Maybe you want to reach 1,000 a day. So where we separate ourselves from the competition is the ability to reach volumes of people with a very specific message and do it in a way to where we reduce the friction. So when someone wants to speak to a human agent, they have the ability to do a warm transfer. If not, we can complete the loop with simple tasks.
That's fantastic, and I guess folks from Corent, like how are you supporting this type of vision? You mentioned that you have a new feature of SaaS Ops, which is called AI-Fi. How that would look like from more like a technical perspective, because I speak that language better than business language.
Yeah, if I may jump in, so we augment existing applications. So let's say somebody already has built some SaaS capabilities, let's say multi-tenancy, but they don't have auto provisioning, they don't have metering, they don't have onboarding to marketplace. We simply augment their existing multi-tenancy they have built in and add additional capabilities right away to free them up from building those capabilities and go to market right away. So anyone who has built some AI capabilities, we honor that and we just augment everything else. And then the SaaS providers can choose to continue using what we have augmented, or use it, hit the market, and over time build their own capabilities if that is what they decide to do. So it's a very flexible model in terms of enabling startups to go to market, commercialize their solutions right away, and not take any freedom away from them, not lock them in, and also not touching their code. That is really important. It's a no code, no programming option that we present. So in that case, software vendors feel very safe that we're not messing with their code. We just augment the capabilities through a metaphoric plugin. We plug in the as-a-service capabilities to a software. So in a sense, the invention of SaaS ops have created a separation of concerns, software and as a service. We provide the as a service, the software vendor who knows the domain expertise of that particular area. In case of Jim, the CRM for auto dealership, he focuses on his expertise, and we bring the context as opposed to the core.
Yeah.
I think this maps really well with, I mean, at AWS we've been supporting SaaS businesses for a long time, right? And one core aspect we talk about is the control plane, to separate your application from managing your application. And it sometimes takes a little bit to wrap your head around with, because a lot of startups are building it at once. So there's configurations are like tenants configurations are deeply integrated into your application database and so on. But there is this immense power when you have a control plane that is separate, and you can just click a button and say create a new tenant, and you get the new resources created. They are all marked up correctly. They are, logging is tied to that tenant and so on. So the way that I kind of think about Corent is that you're providing the control plane out of the box. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, that's definitely a type of phrase, especially for our customers that are familiar, steeped in the AWS vernacular. That's something we've been compared to for sure, Victor. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, looking at AWS, like our platform, like one thing that we are really good at is we have a really solid control plane that is very separated from our actual services, right? And then look at the metering that we're doing. Like it's incredible metering capabilities in the AWS platform. We measure your lambda per millisecond. We measure every kilobyte leaving your AC, right? Like there's such a granularity, and that's been, I mean, it's been crucial for us to be able to deliver the type of products that we have delivered over the years, right? And I think you're providing that kind of functionality to customers who maybe didn't think about it.
Exactly, and especially I would say this is even becoming more of a challenge, let's say, in our ecosystem, because as the barrier to entry for founders becomes lower and lower. I mean, folks just had Lovable on this program, which is phenomenal and fabulous job, great success, bringing down, getting folks the ability to vibe code just in a weekend, at least get an MVP. And where folks are starting to realize Corent SaaS Ops is so essential is that when it comes to scalability and being able to actually build not just a minimum viable product, but how do you instrument in a very robust, very scalable and automated type fashion all of the required capabilities to take that application, to take that product to market as a scalable SaaS business. That's where our solution is becoming something that customers are getting really, really excited about and saying, wow, this would have taken us years and we would have hit walls in terms of our growth that we didn't even anticipate.
Yeah, and that's what I found really revolutionary about this is that in a way, like you're just like embracing the culture, embracing the business value that there's maybe software is creating, and just like taking it to the next stage, which is exactly, I think, that inflection point where some startups are actually able to have success or not. So like for that, I feel like this is that is a crucial moment. I've been through, and I've worked for many different startups, and I think that apart from like the founding moment, like the other most crucial moment was, dealing with all of this growing pain, and having your engineering time split between, should we be bringing more value to our customers, or should we be pivoting and focusing on like actually now rebuilding our infrastructure so that it can support the load that we want to get to. Because then, investors are going to are going to ask questions about that. They're going to be like to scrutinize your robustness when it comes to get to the market, or like getting exposed to larger markets, right? Especially maybe when you're going from Series A to Series B, where like you have proven your business model into one market, and you want to get into a different market. So I think that's kind of crucial, and I especially in the startups that I built in the past, I would have loved to have somebody to like just tell me, hey, you know what, like you have built something really cool, but now you can just like attach it on top of this platform, and we're gonna do like the multi-tenancy for you. We're gonna do the metering for you. We'll also help you like devise a strategy for your costs, for and the tiering, and like your pricing model. So that's great. And this is a show that it's mainly for startup founders, or like aspiring to become founders. So I think here, folks, we're banking on like potentially 80 or maybe 100 years of experience. So I am going to ask to each one of you the usual question that we ask on this show, which is, if you had one top advice for the new generation of entrepreneurs, what would that be? And Victor, I'll start with you, and then we'll go to Jim, Faizi, and Will, if you wanna chime in. All of you folks have built businesses from the ground up to the level of great success that you have had. So I'm super curious about that.
Right. I think it's a great question. It's a very deep question. So for me, like what I have seen, the closer you can bring your tech to the commercial side, and the closer you can take your commercial side to your tech side, the more understanding you have between those departments. And understanding is a shared responsibility, right? Like if you build a certain way, you cannot price what you're building in a certain way. You don't have the capabilities to, maybe meter in the right way and so on, right? So tech needs to understand what kind of business model are we trying to sell here, right? And at the same time, sales needs to understand it's their responsibility to, talk to technology and connect those to departments, because that's really what matters in the end. And to be honest with you, I see the opposite a lot, where there's a tech bubble here, there's a commercial bubble here. Maybe they meet once a quarter, but usually they meet when things are not working out. You need to get everyone, if you're the CEO, you need to get everyone in the room as early as possible, talk about pricing, talk about the technical reality that comes from that, and teach everyone, the language. There is a language barrier. You need to language and cultural barrier, and you need to spend enough time so these departments and these people learn how to talk to each other. Because if you don't do that, you're going to reach the wall at some point. It is just a matter of time. I did it many times until I learned. But it's getting the synergies in place. That's my most important message.
And Jim, how about yourself? You had you have I believe built a super successful business in the last 12 years. I'd be super keen to learn a bit more about like what your piece of advice would be for a new founder.
My question to a new founder would be, what's your perspective in the marketplace you're considering entering, and why? Once I understand that, then surrounding yourself with people that are going to be like-minded in your long-term vision, making sure they embrace it. To Victor's point, the one thing that we're very careful with is the front end, the back end side of our development. We have our roadmaps built, our team meetings involve both sides of the business so we can understand the UI, UX, how's the user going to interface with this? Meanwhile, the back end, it's working on the DevOps or the integration or the APIs or the database. How is that going to integrate with the UI, UX? Conceptually, founders have a wonderful way of creating things in their mind that can be very difficult to bring to market because conceptually they exist, but it's very hard to integrate them. So what's your perspective in the marketplace? Where do you see friction? And then having a good team of developers that represent both the front end and the back end and how they communicate with each other with the roadmap. And then with your roadmap, what is the single most important thing we're going to do next? And based on that success, what's the single most important thing we'll do after that? While constantly measuring the production environment, because production pays the bills while you're in your dev environment, making sure that it's stable and that it's easy to onboarding, and there's less breakage where you're not seeing shrinkage from customers rolling off and why. So monitoring production. So you're juggling a lot of hats. You're in the kitchen, breaking eggs, making an omelet. You're out front, serving customers, putting food in front of them. You're making sure they want to come back. So there's a lot going on at the same time.
Wow. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Faizi, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think great comments here. My one advice to entrepreneurs, especially in the area of B2B SaaS, would be please do yourself and your investors a favor. Focus on your core versus on the context. Core is the area of your expertise, your domain expertise, the area of your core product. Build a minimum viable product, connect it to SaaS ops, and boom, you have the most sophisticated set of capabilities for go-to-market, for managing your product. And then over time, you can continue developing your back end, your front end, and everything else. So accelerate your success and go-to-market with SaaS ops from Corent. It's like today people use DevOps to build SaaS ops. And it's like in the old times when databases were not so available, people used data structure within use compilers to build data structure in addition to the core application. Now people use DevOps to build SaaS ops. Now SaaS ops exist now. Just use DevOps to build your core product and connect it to SaaS ops and go to market. Not only do yourself a favor, but your customers. You're there to serve your customers and instantly provide your software to them through AWS Marketplace.
I cannot agree more. Like I think the idea of like trying to have maybe a dedicated, maybe even just a couple of people that are actually looking after let's say the control plane and all of the SaaS ops of your product. I think that's I resonate with that really, really well. And that would be as well some of the things that I would advise to new founders. Will, any closing thought? I still have a question coming from the chat box that I would like to bring up, but it'd be interesting to get your 2 cents on this.
Yeah, echo all of the comments have been shared. Victor and Jim and Faizi just hit the nail right on the head. The only thing I will add, and Faizi wouldn't, too humble to say this, but I will say sincerely for folks to go and buy Faizi's book. It's called Democratizing SaaS. And the reason I say that is because as you're a young founder, understanding the history, understanding a little bit of the context of the moment that we're in the software industry and the future and where we're headed and what the disruptive technology of SaaS ops means in terms of democratizing SaaS and bringing down those barriers. It's something that I would definitely recommend folks go check out. Democratizing SaaS, published by Forbes. So Victor, to your point, we're having a technology conversation. This is a business book. And so there's an integration there between the business and technical. Folks will really enjoy it. And like Faisy always says too, if you have trouble sleeping, just keep it by your bedside and you can at least flip through it. So.
All right, Will, thank you so much. That's a great. I'll try to sneak a link into the chat box
Yeah.
super soon. So folks, please do stick around. There's a question actually coming from the chat. I wanted to close on that. Babar, I'll bring it here, but maybe it's a bit difficult to read out. But essentially, I think Babar, please correct me if I'm wrong. But um, what what's the best, what's the best route that I can start? Or like that I can take to start on the marketplace? Are there any guides? Is there anything that I should know? What are the first moving or like what are the first steps that I should take to get my SaaS onto the marketplace? My answer to that would be go and speak with our friends from Corent, because they have a turnkey solution for that. But I guess Victor, maybe you have some initial pointers here.
Yeah, I think if you have an account manager at AWS, as always, reach out to them. They can help you to navigate that space. I think what I lost the comment there, right? But what Bar said is more or less the different pathways that you need to go through, right? You need to understand, you need to package your product correctly, you need to price it correctly. Depending on how you're packaging, you do a technical integration. It doesn't have to be a very technical integration, because you can package in a way that is essentially, you could sell a service, and you do the payment transaction through the marketplace, and only that. But more or less what Babar is writing is kind of the process. But the best tips to me is to reach out to your account manager at AWS, and they will help you to get in touch with the people who can help you for your use case. And then, of course, we have partners like Corent and they're excellent in doing this, and they can do it in days or a week or max 2, right? There's a lot of material as well. I think we can share that maybe after the show, different links of how to go about on the marketplace, like how to list on marketplace.
Right.
Sounds
I would
great.
say just book a 30-minute call with Will on this call. And not only you can get your application published on AWS Marketplace, but you get a lot of insights into what else we can add to your application to make it more scalable and more ready to go to market.
Yeah, we put a few links in the various chat boxes on Twitch, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So we'll just leave it there, and you can book a 30-minute free consultation with our friends from Corent. Folks, we are getting to the end of this episode. I really wanted to take some time to, first of all, thank you all for sticking around with us across YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn. Jim, Faizi, Will, and Vic. Thank you so much for spending the last hour with us. I think this episode was like dense with invaluable advice on how to get your software to the next level. And also, I feel super blessed to actually have had a chat with you in terms of what is the marketplace, how the marketplace is going to evolve in the next few years. Super interesting and insightful information about you have to meter really well, because we are on the verge on agentic, so that is going to be an interesting challenge. Again, thank you all so much, folks, for sticking around. Let's talk about next week. We will have Julien Simon from RC. We're going to talk about small language models and how they will represent the future of agentic AI from a technical perspective. So please stay tuned every Tuesday, 2 p.m. BST, 9 a.m. EST, and 6 a.m. PST. I also wanted to thank Kev, Caro, Marco, and Ayman for being around in the chat box. They're my chat moderation, chat leading team, and Caro is the head of my scouting. So if you want to book a meeting with me or with Kev or with Carolina, we have put down a link I'll be bringing it up really soon. I will also lurk around LinkedIn for the next 20 minutes or so. So if you want to have a chat with me over there, feel free to shoot me a message or just quote me into the message. Quote me into the comments. I will be replying to that. But yeah, that's all for today at AWS Let's Build a Startup. Thank you so much, friends from Corent and from NSight Live. And hopefully see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.